Ryan, thanks so much for the chance to chat with you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. No problem.
The feather is hilarious.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
How did the feather come to be?
So the Feather started in 2018, 5 years ago. I started it myself, just a solo journey. I started as a comedy blog at thefeather.ca, and I really want to explore how Indigenous people were represented in the news and just start some laughter. Because at the time, there wasn't that much in the space of Indigenous satire news wise. I mean, there's Walkie Eagle News by Tim Fontaine, and he's still going, but there wasn't that much people doing it, I found. So I thought, what the heck? I'll throw my hat into the ring and see where it goes. And people started responding well to it. So it's kind of like it's fake news. It's kind of like the Onion. You know, it's like the clown version of real news. So, and then a few months after that, we started introducing a video component to it all. I worked with two other stand-up comedians in Saskatoon. That's my background, and that was theirs. Danny Knight and Sean Cuthan, and we started uploading videos to YouTube and started generating some likes and follows. People started really liking it, and we started getting grants. And then we hired an editor, Musquilla Raw, he's just a technical genius. He's amazing. Brings all of our stuff together, makes them look good on camera, and so everything just snowballed from there. Uh, of course, the pandemic hit, that slowed the industry down, but we were like a small enough bubble to keep working and kind of develop our own voice, I guess, and develop like the themes and the outline for the show until 2021, where we gained this partnership with Aptn, and so we can actually build it into what you saw right there is a TV show. But we're still working on it. We want to develop into maybe a half hour show one day in front of a live audience. So we still got plans for, bigger and better stuff for the Feather. So that's the journey so far.
I wondered that because it feels like it's something that can go so many different places, and a live audience would be a wonderful add-in for this sort of comedy. It works so well.
Yeah, we love, like, that's one thing we were hoping for season two. I think season three will try incorporating some kind of live audience aspect, because you're right. Yeah, it would be so fun to do it, and we're stand-up comedians, that's our trade, and we're used to being in front of an audience. So it'd be good to have that back and forth, to see how that would translate to the screen. So it's coming. It's coming. We're working on it.
I like that. That's true. I never even thought of that. But as stand-ups, I mean, you would have to have a relationship with an audience is so different than having it with a camera, and
Yeah.
that would bring such life to it. I love the angle "news you can trust if you dare." I think that's such a great slogan. I was wondering, for you, how do you find the balance of truth and humor? Because there's a lot of truth underneath the satire here. It's a very honest show, and at the same time, very funny.
hmm Yeah, I can speak about my own writing process. So there's four writers. There's myself, Sean, Danny, and Musco. We're like the four main writers of it all. And when it comes to balancing truth and humor, what we used to do is, when we did our YouTube show, we would do our own research when we did our monologues and stuff like that. And more often than not, we would be wrong because we're just not good researchers. And so when we approached this, we actually hired research producers who have academic backgrounds. So every episode has its own underlying theme, whether it's the RCMP or whether it's how economies work on reserves. So we gave our research producers these research questions that we really want to understand these subjects a bit more, because I like, yeah, going back to myself as a writer, I find I can write better if I'm more informed about the subject that I'm approaching. If I understand the angle better, right, I can, have a nuanced outlook on writing the joke. And so that kind of translates to our writing room. How do we balance that truth and humor? It comes from an informed position because we understand better. We have these academic people looking at these subjects, and we have them researching that for us. So we did that before we hit the writer's room. And then we came up with the outline, and then we came up with the sketches, and we kind of built it around what the researchers found out for us. So that's how we balance that truth and humor. So we came at it at an informed angle, but we wanted to make sure it was funny at its core, right? Because it's a comedy show, so kind of have fun with the truth in this show. So it's that's how we balance that so far.
I love that because they're like I said. I mean, we're talking about things like systemic oppression, police brutality,
Yeah.
cultural appropriation. Like these are all massive topics, and you laugh at them in a way that I don't know. It changes the conversation a little bit, and it never mocks the issue, but it's difficult to explain, but it's done so well.
Mhm.
I'm wondering for you, what do you think the power of humor is to create these conversations? The power of satire.
It is. It's very powerful. I find humor in general and comedy is a way you can disarm your audience. And it's an avenue in which you can reach them, which you wouldn't otherwise. We live in a they say we live in a very polarized society, and people are living in their own corners ideologically and stuff like that. So how do you get them all to connect and talk about an issue? And a way to do that is you can disarm people with comedy, using satire, and what may be difficult to swallow through truth is better served through satire. I find, growing up, I used to watch The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, right? And there was a study online. I don't know, uh, where they found that the viewers of The Daily Show were more informed than the viewers of CNN and Fox News and stuff like that. Now it's a question between correlation or causation, right? Is more informed viewers as watching The Daily Show, or is the Daily Show making them more informed? So it's a question of that, right? But so there's aspects of that, like how you can uh, present these issues of truth, or have these difficult conversations, um, either through starting something like the Feather News, or something like the Onion, or even this hour is 22 minutes, right? And I think that's an avenue where you can reach people which you wouldn't otherwise, is by disarming them with comedy. And yeah, just like having fun with the truth. I know that in one of our sketches uh we re-envision a treaty signing, and we actually have a Cree language component to that. And so we re-envision a treaty signing, like how the colonialists would deal with the treaty signers in a comedic way, right? And it's kind of just like absurdist theater, right? It's just really absurd, but it's kind of like an entry point where we could talk about treaties, right? Like, okay, watch this funny sketch we did, right? All right, now let's talk about treaties, right? And then people are like, oh, okay, you kind of like herd them in through comedy, then you could have this conversation. So there's examples like that. So that's kind of like just micro examples on what we do at the show.
It actually, you mentioned it actually reminds me a lot in the best of ways of especially of early 22 minutes, like the Rick Mercer years, because
Yeah.
there's moments where forgive me, his name is it Loose Moose? Am I saying that right?
Sean Loose Moose,
Sean Loose Moose.
or who?
Yes. Yes, he
Mm-hmm.
does
Yeah.
and he does sort of he almost does like a walking it's I remember that Mercer used to do these things where he would walk and
Mm-hmm.
comment on an
Yeah.
issue in a humorous way, and just but keep it very focused. And he does that several times, and I thought, man, this is really great balancing of information and humor at the same time in a powerful way. I really am impressed with that. Um,
Yeah, I appreciate that. What we like how we formatted the show, it's 6 episodes, 15 minutes each. And so when we built the outline, we had a we kind of had a long conversation about this, right? It goes back to that balancing and truth and humor. How do we do that? And so what we did is, if you notice, every episode is outlined in a way. You have your news updates, you have the fake commercial, you have an interview and stuff like that. So like the first 10 or 12 minutes is very like comedy focused. We're trying to get a lot of laughs. But then that last like 3 to 5 minutes where Danny or Sean do a monologue, it's kind of like that hard hitting outro. Okay, like here's the truth behind the matter and stuff like that, right? So that's where we wanted to like kind of trick the audience, like, okay, this first 10-12 minutes is all laughter, but this last like few minutes is like something you can walk away with, maybe have a conversation about. So that's how we wanted to format all the shows, and hopefully that resonates with people.
Yeah, it hits different. I really appreciated that because, like you said, talk about disarming. And those ads are hilarious. The one
Thank you.
they're I don't without getting into them all, but I mean they're all so great. And but you know the opening's so bouncy, and by the end it sort of focuses itself in a different way. And it really is great. I love the idea that you say there about starting conversations. And I was wondering about the response for the show. Have you noticed different conversations starting up about Indigenous issues coming out of people who have seen the show? What has been the response from the Indigenous population?
Yeah, we haven't seen. We actually had a premiere in Toronto in October. We went to Imaginative, which is a film festival out there, and we actually got to see an audience reaction to one of our shows or one of our episodes, because for the past year and a half we've just been making this in our own little bubble. It makes us laugh, we enjoy the content, but is that going to translate to the audience as well? So we were really nervous when we premiered that episode, but we got a lot of good feedback. It was really surreal. We were actually in a movie theater when we premiered it, and I remember I was kind of sitting close to the back, and I was watching the audience, and I was just nervous. I'm just are they going to laugh? And they did. They'd enjoyed it for the 15-minute episodes, and so that was the first time you've seen people actually have a reaction to our show, and it was a relief seeing that they enjoyed it. And as far as conversations go, we haven't really seen the reactions. It comes out in a few days here, so we're going to just keep our ear to it all. I can tell you that in the past stuff, our YouTube comments and even comments on social media, this one article, somebody thought it was real. They thought we were a real news show. And but they always get corrected in the comments by another commenter, not just us. They say, oh, this is fake, you got duped and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, okay, they're on the joke. But so in the past, people thought we have been real news. And I hope people don't look at our videos and think it's real. So, but yeah, I do hope that people can walk away with, I guess, a more nuanced understanding of Indigenous Indigenousness in Canada, and maybe have a conversation. So I look forward to it and see their reactions to it all.
I will just say too, I really hope they don't think it's real, because commercials about how to take down the RCMP, in the midst, training sessions and whatnot. I'm like, do people think those don't exist?
Yeah. No, that's a testament to great filmmaking if it looks like a real commercial. So
it's true.
Yeah,
it's true. Honestly, Ryan, the show is a lot of fun. And
thank you.
I really appreciate the chance to chat with you, Sean, the rest of the cast. They're all incredible. But thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me, and I wish you the best. Hoping for season 2.
Oh, thanks a lot. Yeah, we'll keep you updated, and thanks for the chat, man. Anytime you want, let me know.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Brian. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Yeah, you betcha. See ya.
Don't worry, like you never stopped.